Imagine a man who had more power than any human being alive. He controlled the largest empire on earth. He commanded the most powerful army in history. He could have lived in absolute luxury, surrounded by gold and servants and pleasure, for the rest of his life. And yet every single night, this man sat alone by candlelight and wrote in a private diary about how to be a better person. Not how to conquer more land. Not how to become richer. Just how to be good. How to be patient. How to be kind. How to not waste the day. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He was the Emperor of Rome. And he was perhaps the greatest human being who ever held absolute power, because absolute power never once corrupted him. We live in a world today where people with even a little bit of power immediately start abusing it. A little money and suddenly someone forgets how to treat people with respect. A little fame and suddenly someone thinks the rules don't apply to them anymore. But here was a man, nearly 2,000 years ago, who controlled an empire of 70 million people, who commanded armies that stretched from Britain to Egypt, and his biggest worry every single night was whether he had been patient enough that day. Whether he had been honest enough. Whether he had wasted too much time on things that didn't truly matter. If that doesn't make you stop and think about your own life, then I don't know what will. Marcus Aurelius was born on April 26, 121 AD, in Rome. His family was wealthy and respected, but they were not royalty. Nobody looked at young Marcus and saw a future emperor. But when Marcus was still just a child, the reigning Emperor Hadrian noticed something extraordinary about him. Out of all the children in the entire Roman Empire, Hadrian gave Marcus a nickname. He called him Verissimus, which in Latin means the most truthful one. Not the strongest. Not the most handsome. Not the most powerful. The most truthful. And that single word defined everything Marcus Aurelius would ever become. While other wealthy Roman boys spent their youth chasing entertainment and pleasure, Marcus spent his studying philosophy, law, and history. His most important teacher was a Stoic philosopher named Junius Rusticus, who introduced Marcus to an idea that would completely change his life. The idea was simple but devastating: you cannot control what happens to you in this world. You cannot control war, disease, betrayal, loss, or death. The only thing you can ever truly control is how you choose to respond. That idea became the foundation of Marcus Aurelius's entire existence. It became the lens through which he saw every problem, every crisis, every moment of pain that life threw at him, and life threw plenty. When Marcus was 17, Emperor Hadrian died and a new emperor named Antoninus Pius came to power. Antoninus had no sons, so he adopted Marcus as his heir. Overnight, a quiet student of philosophy became the future ruler of Rome. Most young men in that position would have immediately dropped the books and embraced the power and the parties. Marcus did the exact opposite. He kept studying. He kept questioning himself. He kept learning. For the next 23 years, while Antoninus Pius ruled, Marcus waited patiently and prepared himself, never rushing, never grabbing, never performing. Just growing, quietly, into the man that Rome was going to need. In 161 AD, Marcus Aurelius became Emperor of Rome at the age of 40. And the very first decision he made as emperor tells you everything you need to know about him. He had all the power of Rome in his hands. And he immediately shared it with his adopted brother Lucius Verus, naming him co-emperor. No Roman emperor had ever done this voluntarily before. He could have kept everything for himself, and nobody would have questioned it. But Marcus believed it was the right thing to do. So he did it. Not because anyone asked. Not because anyone forced him. Simply because it was right. That was always Marcus Aurelius. Doing the correct thing even when it was completely unnecessary, even when it cost him something. But Rome was not going to give this philosopher-emperor a peaceful reign. Almost immediately the problems came crashing in from every direction. The Parthian Empire invaded in the east. Massive Germanic tribes began attacking Rome's northern borders in wars that would drag on for over a decade. And then returning soldiers brought back something far more devastating than any army: a plague. The Antonine Plague tore through Rome and the Empire, killing an estimated 5 million people over 15 years. Cities emptied. The economy collapsed. Death was everywhere. And in the middle of all of this chaos, this suffering, this unrelenting crisis, Marcus Aurelius rode to the front lines himself, stood in the mud alongside his soldiers, and every night in his tent he opened his journal and wrote about how to be a better human being. Those writings became the book we now call Meditations. And the most important thing you need to understand about this book is that Marcus never wrote it for you. He never wrote it for anyone. It was completely private, his personal conversations with his own conscience, his daily effort to hold himself accountable. He wrote things like, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." These were not inspirational quotes designed for social media. These were the private struggles of an exhausted, grieving, deeply human man trying every single day not to be broken by the weight of the world he was carrying. And that weight was real. Marcus and his wife Faustina had 13 children together, and only 6 survived to adulthood. He watched his children die, one after another, and still he showed up every morning and did his job. His co-emperor and brother Lucius Verus died during the plague in 169 AD. His own health was deteriorating for years. He was in pain, he was grieving, he was exhausted, and he never once used any of it as an excuse to stop being who he was. That is the thing about Marcus Aurelius that truly separates him from almost every other powerful person in history. He never stopped holding himself to the same standard on his worst days that he demanded of himself on his best days. Marcus Aurelius died on March 17, 180 AD. He was 58 years old. He died not in a palace in Rome, but near the battlefield, still working, still fighting, still serving, right to his very last breath. His soldiers wept for him like he was their father. The Roman people mourned him like something sacred and irreplaceable had left the world. And they were right. Because what died with Marcus Aurelius was something extraordinarily rare. A genuinely good man with genuinely unlimited power, who used every drop of that power not for himself, but for others. Nearly 2,000 years later, we are still reading the private nighttime thoughts of this tired emperor who just wanted to be a slightly better man by morning. And if that is not the definition of a life well lived, then nothing in this world is. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." So the only question that remains is this: are you living?